Hey, what's up guys? JS Cards here, coming at you with an updated version of my Endymion spell counter deck. So the video schedule this week is all about pendulum decks, and a few days ago I showcased my updated Odd Eyes deck profile, and today I wanted to go over my Endymion spell counter deck that I mentioned in that video. So like I said in my previous video, I just wanted to show some love to pendulum decks and pendulum players. Odd Eyes and Endymion decks like that, they used to be a little more competitive, but with the current state of the meta, not a lot of people are playing them right now. I thought it'd be a cool idea to showcase some of these decks that aren't quite as popular, but they are still quite powerful. They might be great rogue options for you. The Odd Eyes deck was really fun and powerful, but I think this deck is even better, so I hope you guys like it. Let's just jump into the deck profile. Alright, so starting off with the monsters, of course we play 3 copies of Endymion. He is your boss monster, and he lets you destroy any number of cards equal to the number of spell counters you have on the field, and he just does a lot of stuff. He's a powerhouse, and you generate so many spell counters with this deck. You can really take advantage of him. He is great. Along with that, I do play 2 copies of Reflection. Reflection is great because it lets you bounce a card back to your opponent's hand, and it lets you search out an Endymion card from your deck. And then for the other Endymion support cards, I play the 1 Servant and 1 Magister. Next up, I do run the Mythical Beast package, which includes 3 copies of Cerberus. He is like your second boss monster of the deck. I actually bring this guy out more than Endymion sometimes, it seems like. I love him. And then 3 copies of Jackal King and the 1 Beast Jackal. For the other support cards, I play 3 copies of Chronograph. This card is busted. I think we all know how good this card is. As well as the 1 Time Gazer. Time Gazer is great because it protects your scales, and a lot of people kind of forget that it does that. So yeah, it's definitely worth playing. And then 3 copies of Magical Abductor. Magical Abductor is really good because with her scale effect, as you create spell counters, you can remove them from her to search out a pendulum from your deck. And then for the last monsters, I play 2 copies of the Blue Boy. I do play the spellbook cards and the spellbook engine in here to generate more spell counters, and it's just a great way to help thin out the deck. Alright, moving on to the spells. I play 3 copies of Spell Power Mastery. This card's great because it lets you add any Endymion card from your deck to your hand. Next up, we have the field spell for the deck, and that is Magical City of Endymion. This card is insane. So with this card, if a card with spell counters on it is destroyed, you can add those spell counters onto Magical Citadel. Also, if you're gonna remove counters from a card to activate its effect, you can remove them from Magical Citadel instead. And if that wasn't enough, if Magical Citadel were to be destroyed, you can remove a spell counter from it instead. This card is just insane, and you build up so many different spell counters with this deck. It's very useful. And since we do play the Mythical Beasts, I do play 3 copies of Mythical Institution. This is just a great way to generate even more spell counters. And then I play 3 copies of Pot of Desires. Desires is great. I mean, the draw 2 effect is really good, and you do play multiples of a lot of different cards. And again, every time you play a spell, basically you get spell counters on something, so it's worth it. Next up, we have the rest of our spellbook engine, which is 2 copies of Secret and 1 Knowledge. For the last 2 spells, I play 1 Instant Fusion to get out basically our Thousand Eyes Restrict, and 1 Upstart Goblin, making this a 39 card deck. Alright, moving on to the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Selene. This card is insane for Endymion decks, and that's a big reason why I wanted to update this. When she's link summoned, you can set spell counters on her equal to the number of spells on the field and in the graveyards, which is nuts. Also, while you have an Endymion card on the field, she cannot be attacked. And on top of that, you can remove 3 spell counters from Selene, and then you can special summon 1 spellcaster from your hand or graveyard in defense position to one of the arrows. So Celine's really great, and she's helped this deck out a lot. Then we do play the one Crowley. Crowley is a great spellcaster link monster, and it lets you get your spellbook engine going. After that, I do play the one Daybreaker. This card's great. It gains attack when it has spell counters on it, just like the OG Breaker, and then you can remove spell counters on it to pop a card. Then we have one Wee Witch's Apprentice. I think every card in the deck is dark pretty much, so just a great way to boost up your monsters. One Decode Talker, and then a great card in this deck, one Saryuja. Now I do play a handful of Exceed monsters. A lot of them are rank 4, and really the only way to do that is when you overlay 2 Abductors. Now that can happen fairly often, so just depending on what rank 4 you need, depending on, you know, what your opponent has and stuff like that, that's where you can pick and choose which one you want to go into. But I do play the one Daigusto Emerald, Tornado Dragon, Abyss Dweller, and the one Cowboy. Most of the time when I do overlay and go into something, it's either Abyss Dweller or Tornado Dragon, but the other 2 are great as well. They're just all really great rank 4s. And for the last Exceed monster, I do play the Odd Eyes Absolute Dragon. You have a lot of different level 7s in the deck, so he's great to make, and that allows you to play the Vortex Dragon and our instant fusion target, which is Thousand Eyes Restrict. So there you guys have it. That was my updated Endymion spell counter deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more. Stay tuned for more Yu-Gi-Oh! News, deck profiles, and openings, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.